Okay, so to get mobile controls working, it's actually pretty easy. So we're going to open up our player script once again. And what we're going to do is we're going to create an if statement just in the update here. So the reason we're doing this is because when we're playing the game on our mobile, we don't actually need these two lines of code here. So we're just going to write hash if unity in big capital underscore editor or, and so the way you do or is two of these vertical lines, or unity standalone, or unity web player, and then we're just going to write under this, we're just going to write hash and if. So this is not common code. This is not something that you would see all the time. So if it looks a bit strange to you, hey, it is what it is. So if we go back over to Unity and we go to the console, press play, just check that everything is working fine. Yep, everything is working fine still. Our code's been saved. Everything's good. So this just means that these two lines of code won't actually, nothing will happen when we're playing on a mobile device. These will only happen in the Unity editor, Unity standalone, or a web player. Standalone is like Windows or Mac or Linux. Cool. But we still want it to move forward in any case. Underneath that, we can actually write a note for ourselves and just write two commas and write mobile controls. And then we want to create a new, we want to create an if statement. So an if statement is obviously like you're asking a question, and if that statement is true, then continue on with the code within that if statement. So we just want to check if input, we're using the input class again, like we used for up here. If input dot touch count is greater than 0. Then close parentheses and open curly brackets, press enter. So then what that will mean is whenever there's any more than 0 fingers touching the screen, do whatever's in this code. So we want it to run only if something's touching, right? And the screen. And so it's saying if touch count is greater than 0, do the stuff that's in this code. I'm just going to neaten this up here by closing that. So it just looks a little bit neater. Cool, but before we actually do the code that happens inside this if statement, we need to actually create a variable. Another variable that's just a throwaway variable, a variable that's only used within the update method, or in this method, which is the update method, and that's going to be a vector2. So what is a vector2? A vector2 is an x and a y position. So we're going to call this vector2 touch. Touch is going to be equal to camera dot main, so the main camera, dot screen to world point, and we're going to say input dot mouse position, which is a bit deceptive because it also works on mobile, plus new vector 3 0 0 10. Oh, comma 0 comma 0 comma 10 f. Awesome. So we're creating a new vector called touch. You don't need to understand everything that's going on here, except for this is basically getting the location of where we're touching on the screen, and it's storing it in a variable called touch. And then within this if statement here, we need to say, well, if you've got more than one finger on the screen, we're going to just simply say transform dot position equals new vector 3, and the first position of the new vector 3 will be touch dot x. So that's part of this touch variable. So touch, the x position of this touch variable. which is our finger position, and transform.position.y, because we don't need the y position of our finger. We're just moving it left and right. And then transform.position.z, and that's just saying, just basically, you just stick with the default, because we're creating a new vector3. Cool. And that is it. So now we can actually test this out. So let's go over to Unity, make sure we've got no errors. I'm going to press play. And obviously we can't test it out yet. We got a null reference error. Okay, so let's go over to this. You see it highlighted player. Click on player. Double click. Okay, so it's saying that our camera.main.screenwell to point. I'm guessing that it's actually going like, well, I don't know which is the main camera. So to fix that, let's go check out our main camera. Click our main camera. And we can see that it's not actually tagged as main camera. So we want to change that. Let's see if this fixes this. Go over to main camera, click tag, and assign it to main camera. So now Unity knows that when we say camera.main, we're talking about this camera because we've tagged it with the tag main camera, which is a default tag in Unity. Let's see if it works now. Press play. Awesome, now we have no errors. But how do we test it? Well, we need to actually test it on a mobile device. So Unity actually has an app for this on both Android and iOS that you can download. It's called Unity Remote 5. And then all you need to do is plug in your device to the computer, and it should show a screen like this. And then you press the play button, and then it will play the game on the screen, and you'll be able to test out if your touch inputs are actually working. If that doesn't work, go to Edit, Project Settings, Editor, and you should be able to choose your device from this section here. If it's plugged into your computer, it should appear here, and you should be able to select your device. And then you'll be able to test out that the controls work perfectly. If for whatever reason you're having trouble connecting your device to the computer, and you for some reason can't get it to connect and it's not working, don't worry, because this is the only line of code that we'll be using to actually test for the mobile controls, basically. So as long as you've got this written here, it means that we can continue on, and when we get to the stage where we actually export our game and put it on the mobile devices, you'll still be able to continue on with the course without any troubles, as long as you've written exactly what's here. Awesome, so everything should be working fantastic. Okay, and the last little thing we need to do to get our basic movement working correctly is to make the camera follow the player, and we'll do that in the next episode.